So today we're on the main channel of Lake Norman down Isle of Pines. We're actually at my house. So I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the things to consider when you have a floating dock on Lake Norman. Let's go take a look. So my wife and I bought this house a little over a year ago, and we did a year-long renovation on the house itself. We just completed, just moved in. So phase 2 of that project is putting in a brand new dock. So kind of wanted to show you some things to point out, some things to consider when you're looking at buying a lake house. And one of those things to consider is the lake level. So you can see the lake level is down about 5 feet. Currently we're in the month of February. Duke Energy raises and lowers the lake. You know, Lake Norman is a man-made lake. In the wintertime specifically, they lower the lake, you know, for energy reasons. And as you can see, we're down about 5 feet. So depending on where you are on the lake, that could really matter on where you buy and oftentimes the price point at which you're buying at. Now, Isle of Pines is, you know, a very sought after road in Mooresville. But one of the things to consider is it's a very shallow grade that brings you out, which is great in the summertime when it's full pond, because you've got a beach area, kids can swim and play and hang out. In the wintertime, something to consider is how far your dock goes out. Now, there are restrictions to the lake on how far you can take a dock out. Our dock currently is at 141 feet, which is grandfathered in at 141 feet if we replace it with the existing dock itself. So as you can see here, we've got a fixed dock. And then on the end, which I'm gonna show you here in just a little bit, is the floating portion of the dock. You can also see that we've got round pylons. When considering a dock, you can consider having square pylons. And of course, they're gonna charge you more for the square because everybody likes the square a little bit more, so that's something to consider. So you can see we're on the floating section of the dock and it's attached by these pylons. And as the water level increases, the dock itself, you know, goes up and goes down with the water level, which is super nice, right? You've got this ramp here that connects the fixed portion of the dock with the floating, and that's able to raise up and down as well. When you're buying a house on Lake Norman, you know, one of the things to consider is the amount of shoreline that you have. So if you've got over 100 feet of shoreline, you're able to put 1,000 square feet of dock space in. Now, one of the challenges is that we have here with this big main channel, big water view lake house, is our dock actually extends out 141 feet. So according to Duke, we can replace this dock with the exact same footprint with a fixed structure, the ramp, and the floating slip portion and be fine at 141 feet. If we want to go to a full fixed dock, we have to scale it back to the permitted distance, which is 120 feet. There's some different little caveats that are there too, little restrictions that, you know, you can dive into with a dock builder. But in general, that's kind of what we're talking about. So with this house and with our goals as a homeowner living on the lake, we love the big lake view. Just something to consider is the boat traffic. So Lake Norman, we're, you know, 30 minutes north of Charlotte. It's a city lake, you know, near Charlotte. So there's lots of boat traffic. There's lots of boat wakeboarders, you know, skiers, barefooters, pontooners, you name it. It's all on lake. Fishermen. You get a lot of boat traffic, well, that's going to create a lot of waves. And as you can see, if you look at this pylon, it's all rubbed and almost worn in like an hourglass. Some are worse than others, but that's just from the dock continuously, you know, coming up and down. So if you've got a boat that's floating in the dock at the same time, you know, that, unless it's tied up properly, that boat is also banging around as well. So I feel like the best way to kind of protect your investment with your dock and your boat is a fixed pier. So what I would do is get with a, you know, professional dock builder on the lake. I could provide some some resources and some connections, but I would get with them and just have them come out and do a consultation and identify what your goals are on the lake. If you're buying a house on the lake, you're gonna want a dock. If you've got big water, you probably wanna look at a fixed dock. If you're back in a cove, I think a floating dock is great. And I think in a lot of cases, a floating dock is perfect. But big water, it's just something to consider. It will bang around a little bit, and could cause you some, there's gonna be more wear and tear on a floating dock on a main channel view. Tom Bramhall, real estate agent here on Lake Norman. If you guys would like to talk about waterfront properties and some of the things that you can or can't do or things to consider, give me a shout. Be happy to show you around and look at some lake houses.